So I'm going to be going over reporting analytics in the CRM. Main goal of the session today. So if I was to share the agenda here, we're going to go over some foundations for just reporting in general. We have a lot of different features. So we have the reporting module within the CRM, the analytics module within the CRM, forecast within the CRM. We're going to have Motivator as a little treat at the end, and then the Zoho Analytics BI tool as well. My main goal for the session is I want folks to know what each of these different modules, products, and so forth do, when you should use one over the other. Because we do have a lot of different features that have the word analytics, reports, and forecasts in them. It can get confusing about which feature you should use for which circumstance. And I don't want someone to spend a bunch of time doing something in the CRM analytics module that the CRM forecast module would be a better fit for. So I'm going to keep coming back as we go through the presentation to when you should use each feature, when you should use a different feature instead of that one, as well as high level going over what each of these different reporting/analytics functionality is doing. I'm going to use the term analytics and reporting, forecasting a little bit interchangeably. I'm going to be sure to mention the analytics module if that's specifically what we're referring to. So yeah, goal, establish an intuition for when each of these features should be used appropriately in the tool. If we're going to back up a moment at the conceptual level, first question to get us started is why bother with sales reporting in the first place? Isn't just having a bunch of data, is money coming in, is it not coming in? Isn't that just good enough to have in the system for the start? My answer for today about why bother with reporting is it's going to help you make sense of the data within the system. If we were to just look at, this is the deals module, and I turned this into our Zoho Sheets format. If we were to just look at a dump of all the information, this is really all you need to know, but it's hard to get anything useful from just this raw data dumped within the system. If we were, so let's actually go into the live account. So if we were to hop into deals here, we're going to make it as down to the ground as possible. So this is all the information in the deals module behind the scene in Zoho Sheet format. Super useful information, hard to make heads or tails of it at a high level. If we were to have it in the standard row view, this is a little bit better. If we were to go into something like the Kanban view, this is a little bit better again, because at least we have some notion of separating all the deals into different stages. If we were to have something like a chart though, this is going to give a lot better high-level overview about what's going on within the system. So everything that I'm showing within each of these three screens, this is the same information. We're just abstracting it out more, so it's easier to take it in. The main benefits that I want to show off for analytics, I'm using the word analytics to mean all our features, is it's going to help you summarize and compare all the data that happens to be in your system. I'm going to focus mainly on deals today. So in this context, it would help you summarize, compare how different business units are doing, how different geographical territories are doing, how products are selling against each other. Instead of just having that broad dump of data, you can have it into neat little buckets. So if we're going to get started with deals, I'm just going to bring the default fields that are going to be needed for the default reports. We're going to have the owner record. We're going to have the amount field, closing date, stage, and then closing probability. This is married to the stage field. So qualification, this is an out-of-the-box stage. It's going to have a probability of 10%. Probability times amount, that is the math that is used to generate expected revenue. So a lot of our default reports, if you were to go into the analytics module and look at deals, dashboards, and a brand new account, they're going to be based off of these core fields. If we were to pose a question or match a question, this is kind of the more logical, more semantic questions that can be asked from each of this information. So from our deal owner field, the question that we can ask is who is closing how many deals, and then you could graph this and compare it amongst all the different sales reps. If our question is when do we expect revenue to be realized, that is a question to be posed of the closing date. This could be broken up by year, by quarter, by month, week, whatever metric that you'd want to have. What is the revenue? That is going to combine the amount field and the expected revenue field. And then where? That's going to be something to do with territories if you want to break things up geographically, or it could be business units, or if you have some kind of alternative structure. The main takeaway here is that each piece of data should have a good question associated with it if you want to make a useful report. These are all going to form dimensions that you can report on. So additional dimensions that I want to introduce, I'm going to show off territories as our main additional dimension. This is just brainstorming of other things that you can have reporting be by teams, customer demographics, marketing, engagement, product or service type. The keyword that I want to stress, I'm going to power us a little bit forward. When you're creating a new report, if you'd want to do a custom report, anytime you see this keyword by, that is a good sign that you have a viable dimension to report against. So I'll circle back to this in a moment here, but if we wanted to make a good report, we'd have revenue, we can have the closing date, and we can have the sales rep. This is the actual technical side of how a report would be formed, is what are the actual dimensions that you'd want to be keeping track of. I want to get into the territories tool just because it's useful reporting, but also useful in its own right. If we were to hop into our demo CRM account, and then we pull up territories behind the scenes, these territories that I have set up are entirely arbitrary. They're just a way of breaking apart leads, contacts, accounts, deals into different territories, chunks, segments, however we want to define that. In our example, we can focus on US South. And if we were to take a look at it, what does US South mean? Well, that is going to be every account and deal that has a billing state of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and the like. And then these are specifically going to be assigned to Samantha and Travis and Victor and Keith. In terms of how users would function within the CRM on a day-to-day basis, if we were to remember these territories, and then we were to come back and to look at all of our deals, right now this pipeline has all deals laid out. If we were to say, let's just look at US South, well, these are only going to show deals that are a part of one of those states. And if you're doing something like an assignment rule, you can set it up where those 4 folks that are assigned to US South, those are the only people that are eligible to get access to one of these deals. Visibility permissions is going to be baked into territory rules as well. So if I'm one of the 4 folks assigned to US South, I could just see these deals and none other. And if there's someone on US North, they would not be able to see what's happening in the US South pipeline. In terms of actually breaking this out into reports itself, I'm in the CRM analytics module to get us started here. This is actually my recommendation for kind of the first place to look. If you're new to the system, you want to check out reporting within the CRM because it's so good at visualizing data. If we were to hop into something like Deal Insights, these are the out-of-the-box reports. I'd gone over those standard questions about revenue by month, revenue by user, revenue by the lead source, and so forth, right? These are going to exist in the system without you needing to fiddle with it too much. If we were to go into our territory dashboard, another out-of-the-box dashboard where you can compare, all right, you have all of your deals, they're each assigned to a different territory. You're going to be able to figure out, well, when we're actually getting revenue, what revenue is belonging to each of our 4 territories, what revenue doesn't belong in any dashboard at all. The way I have this broken up, I have all of the already won revenue on this left-hand side. So all of these dashboards are based off of already won revenue. And then this right-hand side is based off of expected revenue. If we were to look behind the scenes, this is just the technicals of how these dashboards are being formed. So I'm saying, hey, show me all of the value broken up by territory. So that's my second dimension here. And then only show me that for deals that are closed won. If we were to look behind the scenes at the expected territory dashboard or expected revenue by territory dashboard, all we're doing is we're swapping that to the expected revenue field. So every eligible field within a deal is going to show up in here. A big benefit of the analytics module within the CRM, really quick and easy to make any kind of changes that you'd want. If you want to swap out the way this information is displayed, it is 30 seconds or less to actually make some modification within the tool. And then if you do add custom fields of any sort, they are going to show up within the list of things that you can report on. So as I mentioned, these are the default fields that I'd recommend on the left-hand side. These are some potential custom fields to be added. If we were to actually create one of these reports, I'm going to review this and then we'll go into one of our more complicated graphs. But our different axes, we'd want our x-axis to be the primary thing that we're reporting on. That's just how high, mix these up, how high the line is actually going to be when we're talking about revenue, when the actual closing date is going to be. Switch X and Y for me, please. But that would be the horizontal line is going to be. And then lastly, series, that's if we'd want to have two lines. If we were to hop into our example here, if we'd want to have two lines where we're saying, all right, well, show me the total amount, show me that on a quarterly basis, and then have a different line for how each territory is performing. If we were to hop behind the scenes here, that is how this information is going to get combined together. So what is the total height of the graph? What do we want to measure it by? And then do we want to have multiple different dimensions that are either going to make multiple lines or multiple different columns? Let's do normal stack in terms of how this information is going to be displayed. I've already touched on analytics so far. I'm going to show a little bit of reports, forecasts, and then Zoho Analytics, our BI tool as well. I started with analytics, but I think that really is the best starting place. The big strength of CRM analytics, the specific module that you're going to see in the CRM, it's really easy to get started with. Its primary functionality is visualizing data out. It's a bit weaker in terms of seeing all the underlying data. So if we were to go into our dashboard and I wanted to see, show me the underlying data for sales cycle or something like that. If I was to click on it, it's just going to show me a bit of the raw data, not a ton that I can do with this information. If instead I was to go into the reports module, so CRM analytics module, CRM reports module, these are kind of sisters modules where they're being fed the exact same data, but they're going to be better and worse at slightly different things, but in a complementary format. So analytics is good for visualizing information, doesn't tell you a ton about the raw data behind the scenes. Reports is functioning the other way. So if I wanted to see calls by account, I'm going to have a basic graph here, right? There is not a lot of complicated graphing functionality that I can really do in here. Just like, all right, tell me your axes and we're good to go. But we're going to have very rich underlying data where we're going to see every single call that was made, and then we're going to group it together. In this case, Future Solutions, that's our big account that we have a ton of calls with, but it's going to tell me, all right, well, we have Future Solutions, has 24 calls up here. We're going to see each one of those individual calls, and then notes, call type, who made the call. I only have those 4 fields, but we could add as many different pieces of information about the call or about the customer as we wanted to. So seeing that depth of underlying data is where reports is going to succeed. I'd recommend to use both the reports module and the CRM module in conjunction with each other. Analytics is good for that high-level overview. Reports is good for diving into the underlying data itself. Another quick thing about reports, if we were to hop into scheduled reports, since this is so close to a CSV file or an Excel file, you can export reports really easily. Analytics module, you could take like a screenshot or something like that, but it's a little abstracted from the underlying data. Reports module, you can see all the information in a spreadsheet if you'd want to. That can either be a one-time export or you can have it emailed out to yourself at whatever kind of cadence that you'd want. So if you want, weekly sales report, that'll be generated, turn into a spreadsheet, send out to you by an email, and that can all be automated. If we were to look at forecasts, so I'm going to introduce forecasts as shoring up a weakness within both CRM analytics and CRM reports. And that weakness is going to be comparing projected revenue versus earned revenue. So if I was to hop back into analytics, and we are going to see one revenue on the left-hand side and expected revenue on the right-hand side. This is all well and good, but it would be great if we had a way of actually combining these two different fields together. Unfortunately, we can't with the native CRM reporting functionality because we can only have this one y-axis. What is, when we're pulling them out, we can only say, well, what is the actual amount or what was the estimated amount? We don't have a way of combining those into one axis. If we were to hop into the forecast module, we are going to have a solution there. So the way forecasts work, you can either have it set up, most commonly you're going to set it up by quarter. You could do this by an alternative time period as well if you wanted yearly or something like that. And then you can either break up it into sections based off of the territory that's being worked or the individual users and their roles that are generating revenue, doing deals and things like that. If we're to click on US South, we need to have or if we're going to look at US South first, two main numbers. One is the actual target that you just type in when you're setting this up, and then it's going to tell you the achievement, which is the actual revenue that's been won for this period of time. So I have 2024 quarter 2. We projected that we would get around 250,000, and we got way more. So we're going to see that we had a significant gap in a positive direction. But if I was to click on this, and we are going to have the full hierarchy laid out, it is going to visualize out. This is just out of the box. Nothing special needs to be done here, but it's going to visualize out what was our target for that specific quarter or year or however, whatever dimension we decided to compare against, and then what did we actually achieve. So if you are just using the native CRM functionality, CRM analytics module, CRM reports module, CRM forecast module, this is the place that you'd want to go. Forecast is the place that you'd want to go if you'd want to see, well, what did we think we were going to earn versus what did we actually earn, and break that down on a geographical level, on a per user level. Last thing to show off would be Zoho Analytics. Zoho Analytics is an add-on product to the CRM. I'm going to show off briefly. You can embed it into the CRM if you want to do everything in Zoho Analytics as if it is a part of your CRM functionality. Zoho Analytics in many ways is a superset of all of this other functionality. So if you were to go up to Zoho Analytics, you'd be able to do everything that you're doing in CRM Analytics module, CRM Reports module, CRM Forecast module, and the like. If we were to look at our example Zoho Analytics dashboard, we could pull it up. Is it the right account? I'm just going to pull it up briefly here. We could pull it up in its own tab, and then we are going to have Zoho One dashboard, right? Where this is all of our CRM information in terms of revenue, lead, anything else we want to have. We can have this all in one location. If you want to have this embedded in CRM and extend your CRM functionality further, you will have the ability. This is just a basic web tab embed. So I'm saying take that dashboard. We would just hit share. We would grab the URL permalink, copy that, right? And then you can go ahead and embed this into the CRM as a web tab. I'm just going to do that in 2 seconds for anyone curious. So we just go in the modules and fields, say web tab, new tab, call it whatever you want, and then we'd paste that link in. You can see that I have admin dashboard there already. You can also embed it into the home tab itself, which is, well, there's admin dashboard. You could also embed it into the home tab itself if you're so inclined. But the goal here is Zoho Analytics would be able to do everything that you're already doing with the existing CRM modules. So if we'd want to see a breakdown by region, I can say, all right, well, show me all of this information, but just the US Central Territory. If I'd want to break it down by sales rep, I can say, well, show me all this information, but just with will workers' performance. So the main thing that I want to touch on kind of an abridged version here that Zoho Analytics is going to offer is you can have dynamic filters. So any dimension that you'd want to report against, you could just have up top within these various different tabs, and you can turn them on the fly. And then if we were to turn this back off, you will have the ability to drill down. So if I just wanted to see the straight underlying data here, I could click on it and it's going to show me all the information behind the scenes. Or if I wanted to drill down and say, hey, just show me this information by owner or something like that, or just zoom in on Q1 specifically and break it out further. These are all things that can be done dynamically within a single dashboard itself. And then the last thing to show off here is that I had mentioned that the default analytics module is going to have a hard time doing those comparisons of what true won revenue versus estimated won revenue. That's something that you can do natively within analytics itself. So we can compare, all right, well, what did we think we were going to get? And this would be the expected revenue versus what did we, or this would be the expected revenue. What did we think we were going to get versus what did we actually win? So more powerful functionality is going to be included in analytics. You can use it as its own thing. You can embed it directly within the CRM itself. You could, this is just another web tab scenario, right? But you could have it directly embedded. Zoho Analytics is just its own tab within the CRM. No reason to only exclusively use one of these tools. Common to use Zoho Analytics for kind of big built reports, and then just native analytics module if you want something quick, easy, experimental. Feel free to use these tools in concert with each other. So this is our big summary dashboard, right? I'm going to show this off, and I'm going to briefly run through the strengths and weaknesses of the products again. But each one, I would say, the glaring weakness. CRM Reports has the underlying data. You can do a little bit of graph visualization, but it's mainly going to be concerned with the data behind the scenes as opposed to having a big colorful chart shown to you. Forecasts and the native CRM analytics module shows you the graphs, right? Doesn't tell you a ton about the information behind the scenes. And then forecasts and analytics, those are really the only tool that can do the projected achievements versus the actual. And then Zoho Analytics, plenty of bonus features here. The one I'll focus on today is if you want to do those dynamic filters where you can chain together multiple different filters. If you'd want to do drill downs, analytics, I'm just going to say yes to everything because that's going to be your most powerful tool. Something that I want to add, I'm going to circle back to the analytics module to show permissions visibility, but what I'll show you here is going to be relevant for everyone in the system. In terms of who should see what within the tool, the main questions are just, what is a user actually going to do with this information? Are they going to be able to take some useful action or be informed in a meaningful way? If the answer is no, might not be worth showing that information to get started. If we were to go back into our home tab here, I have a couple different views made in the home tab. So if I was to go into customize homepage, I have a handful of these behind the scenes. You can have these dashboards associated with a specific set of user permissions. I'll actually go back. So the manager home is shared with these different roles. The admin dashboard is shared with these different roles. CRM reps is going to be the most common. So you can have different views within your home module. And I'm the admin, right? So I get to see everything. But in practice, this could only be visible for the admin team. And if I'm an individual contributor, I may just see, my tasks, my calendar events, my leads. So it's just going to be a matter of what is relevant for each user. If we were to hop into analytics itself, up top here where it says custom users, that's where we can govern visibility. This is the same schema that we have everywhere in the CRM. If we'd want to have information shared just to the logged in user who's making this change, if we want to have it shared to all users within the system, or if we'd want to have it broken up, let's edit this here, if we want to have it broken up more specifically. In terms of the custom setup, that's really any kind of nuance is going to live in this custom section, but you can either grab people by name, you could have it based off of their role within the tool, or you can have territories, but this will be any territory that you've made within the system. But I'll show groups. Groups is an arbitrary grouping that you can just have on the admin side of things, but this could be other groups. This could be combining multiple territories. This says, I don't care what territory you're in. I just want to know if you're on the support team. I'm going to give you visibility. This would just be the most flexible way of who'd want to see it here, but chain together as many of these different permissions as you'd want. And then whatever these selected criteria happen to be, this is going to pool together, and those are going to be the users who actually get to see this dashboard, and it'll be hidden to everyone else within the system. Here's our power overview, right? What's good in each tool. CRM Analytics is pretty. CRM Reports shows you all the underlying data. Forecast is going to show you the comparison across different territories or across different user groups. And then Analytics is kind of going to be doing everything. Final feature to show off, Zoho Motivator. I haven't touched on this a ton so far. I would say that this is a feature that either isn't used or people are super excited about it. Its main functionality, it is going to have some reporting, right? But its main functionality is going to be having competitions for a sales team against each other. If we were, so I'd say most popular, right? High volume transactional sales where it's like people are competing. You got a bunch of people in a room, 10 people in a room competing for how many sales they can make in a day. That's kind of the most popular environment. To hop into Motivator. So it's going to live right here within the CRM, and it'll open up in another tab for you. The things that I'm going to show in here are going to be familiar from something like the analytics module, but you can have KPIs, which are going to represent all the data from one user. So invoices, deals, all that information is going to be visible within here. Where this is really going to shine is if you'd want to have specific targets for users, right? So this is either all users or just one user, how they're actually progressing against any target that you set for them. Or I'd say the most impressive thing is going to be games here, right? Where we can say, hey, I want to have either teams competing against each other. So different territories, sales teams can compete, or different individuals, where we're going to have a bunch of people queued up, right? And then we're going to say, well, we want them based off of profit for a given period of time. We're going to run this for a day, a week, whatever time period that you'd want. And we're going to give them just a little trophy, right? Really just a bragging rights system within the tool. We're going to have them compete. And then in real time, we're going to have displayed who is performing the best. So it can be any metric that you'd want. It could be calls made. It could be revenue generated, leads converted, and then it's going to display across all users how well they're actually performing. A big benefit here, this, I don't have it on stage, but if you have like a mobile TV screen or something like that, you can have these charts reported and you can have that for everyone to take a look at. Thank you for your attention.